Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda चैतन्य चरितामृत की जय। श्रील कृष्णदास कविराज गोस्वामी की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। सामवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। नमो ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे श्री चैतन्य चरितामृत आदि लीला chapter 15. So we were reading the childhood pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now we are going to read the Pauganda Leela of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay. The Lord's Pauganda Leela. So remember, Pauganda Leela means from 5 up to 10, ages 5 to 10. So these are the pastimes of the Lord's studies. So what did we read? The pastimes of the Lord during his Pauganda age were very extensive. His education was his chief occupation, and after that his very beautiful marriage took place. So marriage also comes after this. When the Lord was studying grammar at the place of Gangadas Pandit, he would immediately learn grammatical rules and definitions by heart simply by hearing them once. He soon became so expert in commenting on the Panji Tika that he could win victory over all the other students, although he was a neophyte. So he was just a new student, but he could defeat everyone else. He was so sharp. So we'll start with text 7 today. अध्ययन लीला प्रभुर दास वृंदावन चैतन्य मंगले कोइला विस्तारी वर्णन. So Achintadev Prabhu, can you read? No, so I can go to the next person, come back to you later. Madhava or Krishna Ashish.
In his book Chaitanya Mangala, which later became Chaitanya Bhagavad, Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur has very elaborately described the Lord's pastimes of study.
Yeah, the one line, just read the next line, purport.
The Chaitanya Bhagavad, Adi Khanda, chapters 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 are a good reference to the studious pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Yeah, so if you want to know about the pastimes of Mahaprabhu when he was a student, then you should refer to Chaitanya Bhagavad Adi Khanda chapters 4, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. So no 5. 4, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. For pastimes of Mahaprabhu as a student. That is his Pauganda Leela. And that's what Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is saying, that Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur has very elaborately described the Lord's pastimes of study. in his book Chaitanya Mangal. So originally it was named Chaitanya Mangal. Later, when Lochan Das Thakur also wrote Chaitanya Mangal, then Chaitanya Vrindavan Das Thakur's book was renamed as Chaitanya Bhagavat. Yeah. So Achintadev Prabhu, you're ready?
Oh, yes, Mataji, we are ready.
Okay. एक दिन मातार पदे कोरिया प्रणाम प्रभु को हे माता मोरे देह एक दान.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Please accept my humble obeisances, Mataji. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
One day, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu fell down at the feet of his mother and requested her to give him one thing in charity.
So now we have an idea of the age when this pastime happened, during his Pauganda Leela. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu fell at the feet of his mother and he asked, can you give me one thing in charity? What is that? Mata bole tai diba ja tumi magibe Prabhu ko he ekadashi te anna na khaibe.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Arunita.
His mother replied, "My dear son, I will give you what for you ask." Then the Lord said, "My dear mother, please do me
Yeah. So when Nimai said, my dear mother, please, he fell at her feet and he said, please, I'm asking you for one charity. She said, whatever you want, I will give you, my dear son. So then he said, please don't eat grains on Ekadasi. Apparently they were eating before, I don't know. But Mahaprabhu said, or she was eating. So he said, please don't eat grains on Ekadasi. Purport, are you in the car, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji, Prabhuji cannot read.
Yeah, okay. So is Chatterjee Prabhu here? No. So Madhava. Or if Isha is able to read, either way.
Yeah, I'm here.
Now go ahead. Purport.
From the very beginning of his childhood life, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu introduced the system of observing a fast on the Ekadasi day. In the Bhakti Sandarbha by Srila Jiva Goswami, there is a quotation from the Skanda Purana admonishing that a person who eats grains on Ekadasi becomes a murderer of his mother, father, brother, and spiritual master. And even if he is elevated to a Vaikuntha planet, he falls down. On Ekadasi, everything is cooked for Vishnu, including regular grains and dal. But it is enjoined that a Vaishnava should not even take Vishnu Prasadam on Ekadasi. It is said that a Vaishnava does not accept anything eatable that is not offered to Lord Vishnu. But on Ekadasi, a Vaishnava should not touch even Mahaprasadam offered to Vishnu, although such prasadam may be kept for being eaten the next day. It is strictly forbidden for one to accept any kind of grain on Ekadasi, even if it is offered to Vishnu.
So we had this discussion a few days ago about Ekadasi, and Kalpesh Prabhu said the reference is Skanda Purana, so we see that reference here. And if you note, Srila Prabhupada is saying this is the rule for a Vaishnava. So we should note that. So for Vaishnavas, yes, you cannot eat grains. Can you offer grains to the Lord? Yes, you can offer grains to the Lord. But even if you offer to the Lord, you don't eat. Vaishnavas don't eat. But those who are not Vaishnavas, it doesn't say anything that you shouldn't feed others or you shouldn't feed the birds or like that. That is not said. What is said is a Vaishnava should not eat grains on Ekadasi. If he eats, because you see, we have taken shelter of the Lord, right? So we have to follow the rules that are given by the Lord. So here there is no tarka. You should not use any logic or argument here. We follow it because it is said in the scripture, the Acharya has told us to follow, we follow strictly. Vaishnavas follow strictly. We have taken to that path. It's like the spiritual master takes responsibility of our life. Krishna says, Sarva dharman parityaja mamekam sharanam raja aham tvams. Is the treatment the same to a Vaishnava and a non-devotee? The treatment is not the same. To a Vaishnava, it's like the king's son and the citizens of the kingdom. It's not the same. The treatment to the citizens and the king's son is not the same. Even if the king's son is punished by the king, still the punishment is given by the king, and the king's son is still the king's son. He's not treated on the same level as all the other citizens. Like that, a Vaishnava is under the direct protection of Krishna. So anyway, so Vaishnava means anyone who has taken to the life of devotional service, right? It can be either a Pradhanibhuta Bhakta, and of course Kevala Bhakta is a Vaishnava, certainly. So here, once again, from the very beginning of his childhood life, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu introduced the system of observing a fast on the Ekadasi day. Okay, so Mahaprabhu introduced it, is saying. He introduced from the very beginning of his childhood that everyone should fast on Ekadasi. In the Bhakti Sandarbha by Srila Jiva Goswami, there is a quotation from the Skanda Purana. One more thing that just comes to my mind is, whether the Lord is in the child's body or he's a grown up, he's always the Supreme Personality of Godhead under all circumstances. Just like Krishna, when he was 7 years old, right? He told his father, why you're doing this Indra Puja? You should not do. And everybody accepted. He's the Supreme Lord. He sets, he gives us the way, how to, what to do, what not to do. He's the supreme authority. There's nobody above him. So similarly, even in Nimai's case, even from his early childhood, although there are past times where sometimes, he gets scared and all that, that is simply to increase the, the rasa, the bhava in the devotees. But his position never changes. He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's just an additional point that just came to my mind. So here, even from his early childhood, he introduced this system of observing Ekadasi. In Bhakti Sandarbha, Srila Jiva Goswami says, quoting Skanda Purana is admonishing, it's chastising, right? Admonishing that anyone a person who eats grains on Ekadasi becomes a murderer of his mother, father, brother, and spiritual master. And even if he is elevated to a Vaikuntha planet, he falls down. Of course, here it is said in Skanda Purana, it is said a person who eats grains on Ekadasi becomes a murderer. That means this we know, right? There is Papa Purusha in the grains on Ekadasi. That is there. There is Papa Purusha in the grain. So anyone who eats grains on Ekadasi, he's only increasing his sins. That is there. But you cannot put the same condition for birds, no. Or even for, you see, yeah, the condition is not the same for, they don't have, they don't have, see, scriptures, dharma is for whom? Think about it. Dharma is followed by animals. They don't have, they're not developed so much. Animals don't have dharma. Now, if your point is you being a devotee is feeding the birds, I mean, I think it's just like, anyway, yeah, I'll just leave it at that. But yeah. So, Srila Jiva Goswami, by Srila Jiva Goswami, there's a quotation from Skanda Purana admonishing that a person who eats grains on Ekadasi becomes a murderer of his mother, father, brother, and spiritual master. And even if he is elevated to a Vaikuntha planet, he falls down. Interesting. Huh? Even if he is elevated to a Vaikuntha planet, he falls down. On Ekadasi, everything is cooked for Vishnu, including regular grains and dal. But it is enjoined that a Vaishnava should not even take Vishnu Prasad. Vaishnava should not take. Even if it is Prasadam, he should not take grains. He can take the next day. It is strictly forbidden for one to accept any kind of grain. So for ourselves, devotees, strictly, you cannot take grains on Ekadasi. Okay. Yes, Kalpesh Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu.
And thank you bringing up that birds topic. I was just told by somebody, so I'm following it. And now I feel little worried because after knowing, I didn't know the reason. Like it is this much severe punishment. So that make me think about couple more questions here. The first one is this I never knew from my childhood, my family members. We just knew that it was we should do it, and there was different varieties of food. And of course, before not knowing the reasoning, I never followed whether I should do it or not do it. So many time I have used my own intellect to eat grains in the past. So that has been done already, right? So I cannot change that. What has been done. Now I wanted to know what if we have done it. Is there any way to counteract that? Number one, that, and number two, I see that many calendars we are seeing for Ekadashi. Like I have different some like from India calendar and another Kushti Margi calendar, Vallabha Sampradaya, which is seems like it's also an authentic Sampradaya, right? So their calendars suggest that Ekadashi is for this Nirjala, right? It's 31st, and our is 30th. So now means if we eat grain any of the day, and which day which is right, and in ISKCON India they do 31st, and here they do 30th. So I mean it's very difficult. The worry is like any of the day we do it, right? If we any of the day which is counted under the god, right, that this is the day is for pap, then I mean which one we should follow, or we should follow both?
Yeah, no, we should not follow both. Okay, so first thing is, if you have already eaten in the past, what to do about it? Prabhuji, this is one thing that you remember what you did. There are so many millions of sins we did, we don't even remember. This life, past life, so many lives. What are we going to do about that? You tell me. What are we going to do about that? We have only one shelter. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. We don't have different paths. We have only one way. Vyavasayatmika buddhir ekeha kurunandan. Bahushakha hyanantascha buddhayo avyavasayanam. So for us, it's not like, oh, for this sin, let me counteract this way. For that, let me counteract that. That is karma.
Mhm.
Bhakti means I'm yours. Now you deal with me in whichever way you like. And it's not that when I take shelter, I'm thinking that's a lower level. It's okay. But if that is the impetus for taking to bhakti, that all my sins will be removed, that's okay. But that's not the highest level of bhakti. That's okay to start with. But actually, if you really want pure devotional service, we don't even say, please relieve me from my sinful reactions. Please relieve me from my offenses, all the reactions that are going to come. That's not our prayer. Actually, a pure devotee, he wants to suffer for all the things that he has done. But please give me love, Krishna. Give me love for you. Our only aspiration is prema, love of Krishna. And for that, devotees are willing to take any type of suffering, no problem. Krishna should be pleased, and I should develop love for Krishna. And that is possible in the association of devotees. So, therefore, devotees, when they go in front of Krishna, they're only praying for one thing: Krishna, give me the association of your sincere devotees. Because in their association, I can develop love of Godhead, which is the highest goal achievable in the entire creation. So, now I have a baggage which is on my back. What to do? Actually, if I can come to that platform praying to Krishna like that I want only pure devotional service, this is nothing. Krishna says, Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami. I will relieve you from all your sins. Ma shuchaha, don't worry. But the problem is, I still don't have faith. That's why I still worry. You understand? And we are all in that situation. So we don't have faith. So what should we do now? We should try to develop that faith. How we develop that faith? By hearing again and again Krishna's words from pure devotees. And by that hearing, our heart gets purified, because this is also bhajan. Shravanam is also bhajan. Kirtan Hare Krishna is bhajan, this is also bhajan. By this, what is happening? Your heart is becoming purified, your Shraddha is increasing. And one fine day, by Krishna's mercy, we will be convinced, if I simply do bhakti, I don't have to worry about any, he'll take care of all my sins. When you become free from sins, you get liberation also. You can get, that's very easy to get. I mean, actually, it's very difficult. But when you do bhakti, liberation comes as a byproduct. You don't even ask for it separately. So don't worry about the sins that have happened. But after we come to Krishna consciousness, and now we know that we should not do it, but we give some logical explanation and we don't follow it, that becomes offensive. And offenses are very serious. That will choke our progress in devotional service. Unknowingly or before coming to Krishna consciousness, I was like a logician type of person and I wanted arguments and this, I argued and I wanted proper answers and whatever it is, because of which I didn't follow. What is, as you said, what has happened is happened. What can be done? An honest person will say, I'm willing to take the reaction. I've done it, so I must suffer like that. But whether Krishna will give you the suffering or not, that is in his hands. This is bhakti. Bhakti means we, like a small baby, we put ourselves in Krishna's hands. Now, Mare Krishna Rakhe Krishna Mare ke, right? If Krishna wants to kill me, he'll kill me. If he wants to keep me, he'll keep me. Where do I go? So this is a sign of pure devotional service. So if I'm not in that position yet, then I should aspire for that. I should pray to Krishna, let me get that type of consciousness like that. So that was the first answer to the question of what about past sins. Second thing, what was that, Prabhuji?
Second thing about the different calendars in ISKCON.
Yes. The reason you have a different date, let me tell you, within ISKCON in America, India, different places, why you have change. Actually, it is about the tithi, right? So it is the 24 hours, like that time period. Like for example, now it is evening. In India, it is morning. Okay. So today is what? 29th year. And India, it is 30th. So today is the appearance of Baladev Vidyabhushan, for example, Tithi, let's say it starts now or not now, it started this morning. Okay, that Tithi started this morning and it stays up to, it's not necessary that it has to stay 24 hours. There's a time slot during which it happened. Now, how do you decide which day? Because we are, 12 hours or, time difference is there. But that moment, that time period, it happened, whether it is night or day or whatever. So what they do is they take the morning hours after sunrise. So if it comes in the night, then they take the next day. You understand? So there is some calculation like that. So that is why sometimes it is one day later or one day before, here and there. So there's nothing wrong with that. After calculating everything only, they have fixed that date. So now which day should I follow? You should follow your local date. Wherever you are, you should follow that date. If you are in India, you follow India's date. If you are in US, you follow US's date. And the only problem comes when you're traveling, when you're in airplane. And if it is an Ekadasi, now you're leaving here on Ekadasi, you're arriving there on Ekadasi, what to do? Or Ekadasi date starts while you're in the airplane, what to do? And after you observe in the airplane and again you go there, so you decide any one day, either here or there, and then follow that, observe one day like that. That's the only time when you're traveling. Best is not to travel on Ekadasi days, but if it is unavoidable, somehow you have to travel, then you follow any one day, either US date or India date, no problem. But wherever you are, that's the date you follow. Now about regarding Pushti Marg has a different date. We also have, like Bengali calendar, Telugu calendar, they have their dates and they don't always match. Which one should we follow? Again, same thing, you follow where you are. So you're in ISKCON, you follow ISKCON's date. Why? Because you have surrendered here. So our acharyas have taken your responsibility. So you follow their system, you are protected. You follow someone else's system, you are here, How you get protection by following? Right? It's like you have two separate companies, right? That company has some rules. You're working in this company, and this company has some rules. You say, I'll follow that company's rule. Who will protect you? Your company will protect, right? So you should follow the rules of your company. Not to say that one is right or one is wrong. It's not like that. But when we are here, we should follow this system because we are protected by this company, by this system. Okay.
And one more small question, if you don't mind. It is something means we can eat anything, or means we don't eat grains.
We have different grades in Ekadasi. The topmost best is if you don't eat or drink water also. You can do Nirjala Ekadasi every Ekadasi. In fact, the story behind Pandav Nirjala Ekadasi, which we are going to observe tomorrow, is that actually Ekadasi means no eating, drinking. That is Ekadasi fast. But Bhimsen said, I cannot do that, Krishna. I cannot stay without eating. So then Krishna said, okay, then once a year on this Pandav Nirjala Ekadasi, you do Ekadasi. Then even if you don't observe the rest of the year, still it will be counted as observing Ekadasi. What does it mean here? Does it mean that Bhimsen was eating rice, dal, sabji, roti on the rest of the Ekadasis? No, because already it is said in Skanda Purana, if you eat grains, it's as good as killing your father and mother. How he will eat grains on those days? So it's not eating grains. He was eating rice or potatoes, peanuts like that, like we eat on Ekadasi. He was not doing Nirjala Ekadasi. But if you do Nirjala on Pandav Nirjala Ekadasi day, all the rest of the Ekadasis will be counted as if you fasted full fast. You'll get that credit. This was a concession given by Krishna to Bhimsen, and through Bhimsen, we are also getting that concession. So, yes, the best is if you can do Nirjala, that's the topmost. And you see, austerity is good, it purifies you. But and then the next level, if you're not able to do Nirjala Ekadasi for whatever reason, right? Either health or you have work or whatever reason it may be, then the next level is okay, then you drink water. That also I'm not able to do. Okay, then you drink some fruit juices if you can survive with that. That also, no, I need more. Okay, eat some fruits like that, right? Fruits and milk, falahar. Just do that. No, then you can also eat, right? Just refrain. Srila Prabhupada gave this. Because you see, Srila Prabhupada is giving a standard which is universal, which can be followed by everyone. He's giving the basic minimum standard, which everyone must follow. Just like chanting 16 rounds. Everyone must follow 16 rounds. But he didn't say you should do only 16, you cannot do more. 16 is minimum, Srila Prabhupada said. Similarly, refraining from beans and grains is basic. You cannot go below that standard. No grains and no beans. But if you want to do more, very good. No problem with that. Only one thing you have to remember, what happens when you do more strict. I'm not discouraging in any way. You should do it if you're able to. But just be mindful of this. When you're fasting and you see everyone else eating potatoes and Ekadasi prasadam, you start thinking, I'm better than others because I'm not eating anything. I'm doing Nirjala. I'm better. No doubt you will get strength. Every time you do Nirjala, every time you do, you'll become stronger and it will become easier for you to observe that. But unknowingly, if you are not careful, in your mind you start thinking, I'm better than others. And that pride is not conducive to Krishna consciousness. So that is why on Ekadasi, when you're fasting like that, you should also chant, right? Chant more rounds. So some devotees chant 64 rounds. Some devotees in Mayapur, they do all night. They stay up all night chanting like that. So different, because Ekadasi is a day, it's called Madhava Tithi. It is the day, mother of devotion. Ekadasi is mother of devotion. On that day, the more you do devotional service, the better. Like that. That's the point.
Thank you very much for so detailed explanation. I will try to follow what.
Sure, Prabhuji. Yeah, it's worth it. Yeah, just that one point you have to be careful about. I heard in a lecture from my spiritual master, if you're becoming proud, if you're thinking that I'm better than others because I'm doing like this, better don't even tell anyone actually. Don't even tell anyone that you're doing. You do it to please Krishna. But if you're thinking I'm better, then my Guru Maharaj said it's better that you eat some potatoes and remain humble. That's better than doing Nirjala Ekadasi and thinking I'm better. Instead of that, you eat some potatoes and become humble. That will help you in your devotional service. So if you can take care of that aspect, this is very good because that's recommended, right? Fasting on Ekadasi. Okay.
What about kids, Mataji? Do they
For
have to do?
children, no. For children, it is said that they don't have to observe Ekadasi um, because you must feed them. Prabhupada was very, see, again, like the point that you brought up this morning, you have to give them all love and care. But the thing, what I have noticed in my family, with my kids, I have seen, we don't really have to starve, you know. We have so much, we have samurais, we have quinoa, and we have potatoes. You can have enough for some milk. It gives enough nourishment, and they actually feel inspired. I didn't have to give them grains actually. I never gave them. But it's not that I was rigid. I should not give them grains. It was not like that. But I didn't feel the need at all. I didn't feel the need to give them grains. It was not like they were, missing out on something. But yes, it is said that for kids, it's not strict. Like they're saying, Mama, I'm hungry. And you're saying, no, you cannot eat. So give them something which they can eat on Ekadasi. You understand? So, but that I heard in ISKCON, when I had little kids, I heard them say that, up to different ages, they say sometimes they say 5, sometimes they say 10. You don't have to be strict with them, so on and so forth. But what I have noticed personally is it's the culture that you have at home, right? So the type of culture you have on Ekadasi, we don't eat grains, then they just accept it and they just, that's how they grow up and they know they don't eat grains. So you see, whatever works for you. But it is said that when they're little kids, there's no hard and fast rule. They said, I can give you Shastric evidence actually. In Shastras, in Puranas, it is said from age 8, yeah, it's good, I remember now, 8 to 88, not 80, 8 to 88. One must strictly observe Ekadasi. There's no, what do you say?
Exception.
No exception. Yeah. But before 8, yes, no, there's no hard and fast rule. They can eat. No problem. This was the rule. One king, he actually made it a law in his kingdom. He was a Vaishnava. He said, in this kingdom, anyone between the ages of 8 and 88, they cannot eat grains on Ekadasi. Everyone must observe Ekadasi. After 88, they're so old, so it's relaxed. And even before 8 also, it's relaxed. But from 8 onwards, they must. So, of course,
And Nirjala also. Nirjala also.
No. Nirjala, no. Nirjala, I would encourage them, but I don't hold it strictly. And many times it happens, they become inspired seeing the parents doing, they also want to do. Some of them last until noon, some of them last until evening, some of them until night, some of them are able to do throughout also 24 hours. So as long as they're able to go, right, and it's fine. But if they're not able to do, then keep Ekadasi Prasadam ready, just in case, start with fruits or some milk or something, no problem.
Okay, Mataji. For me also it is difficult. I mean, I will keep on thinking whole day about water only if I don't.
So you should keep yourself busy, so busy. That's the key to fasting actually. You have to keep yourself so busy in devotional service. Find something which really absorbs you. Then you forget everything. Water, drinking, eating, everything you'll forget. So that's the thing. But yeah.
I'm working Mataji tomorrow, and so that is not devotional service. So I'm doing nonsense work, and I am, like, I don't know. I used to do all this Ekadashi thing for wrong reasons. I mean, for other demigod worship. When I was younger, I wish at that time I was Krishna consciousness. I had that. But then now when I should do it, my body is already, worn out.
Yeah.
Okay, Mataji. Thank you so much, Mataji.
Okay, let's just read. We didn't read much. So Madhava has to read. Sachi kohe na khaibo bhalo ei কহিলা সেই হইতে হইতে একাদশী করিতে লাগিলা Madhava.
Narasati said, "You have spoken very nicely. I shall not eat grains on Ekadasi." On that day, she began to observe fasting on Ekadasi.
Isn't it very interesting, such a coincidence? Tomorrow is Pandav Nirjala Ekadasi and all the verses are coming about Ekadasi. Mahaprabhu is reciprocating with us. Mother Sachi said, "You have spoken very nicely. I shall not eat grains on Ekadasi." Okay, so first Nimai fell on the feet of Sachi Mata and said, "Please give me charity." Sachi Mata said, "My dear son, whatever you want, I will give you. Tell me what you want." So he said, "Please don't eat grains on Ekadasi." What did Sachi Mata say? "You have spoken very nicely. Yeah, I will not eat grains on Ekadasi. I will do that. You are asking me, now I won't eat." From that day, she began to observe fasting on Ekadasi. So maybe she was eating potatoes or something, and when Mahaprabhu asked, she started complete fast. Maybe I don't know exactly. Okay, purport. Rasapriya.
It is a prejudice among Smarta Brahmanas that a widow must observe fasting on Ekadasi, but a woman who is a
Sadhava.
Sadhava who has her husband should not. It appears that before Lord Chaitanya's request, Sati Mata, being Sadhava, was not observing Ekadasi. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, however, introduced the system that a woman, even if not a widow, must observe the Ekadasi day and must not touch any kind of grains, even those offered to the deity of Vishnu.
Okay, so she was actually eating grains. Okay, so what was the thing? So you see, remember some days ago I told you how Varnashram system actually went through changes. So from time to time, in different times, one particular acharya of a particular group, some powerful personality will come, and then he will select those shlokas from the scripture. He will come up with his philosophy, with his doctrine, and he will choose those verses from the scriptures which will support his doctrine, and he will make that as a rule in the society. And then that becomes, this is the dharma given in the scriptures. So like that, there is Smarta Brahmanas. Smarta Brahmanas means Karma Kanda. Karma Kanda. So there is Varnashram system, but Karma Kanda Varnashram system. And then when Sripad Shankaracharya came, it became the impersonal Varnashram system. And what did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu say? We need Daiva Varnashram system. Daiva Varnashram system means the goal is pure devotional service. So here, the Smarta Brahmanas, so they actually spread this idea. What is that? That the widows must observe Ekadasi. A married woman who has her husband, she should not observe Ekadasi. It's like, so many superstitions come up or whatever, right? This is like Smarta Brahmanas. They're taking some things here and there and they're passing it as a rule. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu changed that. He said that a woman, even if she is not a widow, she must observe Ekadasi. And what does it mean? Ekadasi means they should not touch any grains. Specifically, don't eat grains on Ekadasi. You see that here. तबे मिश्र विश्व रूपेरा देखिया यौवना कन्या चाही विवाह दीते करिले न मना. Okay, Chatterjee Prabhu. Are you able to read?
Yes, Mataji. All glories. Dandavad Pranam Mataji, all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji, all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Thereafter, seeing that Vishwarupa was a grown-up youth, Jagannath Mishra wanted to find a girl and arrange a marriage ceremony for him.
So, Nimai, Hare Krishna. Nimai is still between 5 and 10, Pauganda. So his older brother, Vishwarupa, he was a grown-up youth. I think he was like 16 or something. So his parents, Jagannath Mishra, wanted to find a girl and arrange a marriage ceremony for him. Also, from Chaitanya Bhagavat, we see that Vishwarup had no interest in family affairs or anything. He would spend all day in Advaita Acharya's home in the company of devotees, always discussing Bhakti Shastras and Kirtan like that. He would just come home to take prasad and go back right away. And he would sleep and again he would go back in the morning. He didn't have anything to do. So the parents were thinking if he got married, then he'll take some interest, right? So therefore, so Jagannath Mishra started looking for a girl for Vishwarup. Seeing that Vishwarup was a grown-up youth, Jagannath Mishra wanted to find a girl and arrange a marriage ceremony for him. Vishwarupa Shuni Ghara Chadi Palaila Sannyasa Koriya Tirtha Koribare Gela. Kalpesh Prabhu.
Hearing of this, Vishwarupa immediately left and went away to accept sannyasa and travel from one place of pilgrimage to another. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. So when Vishwarup heard this, that they're looking, he was not interested, right? He was not at all interested in any worldly affairs. So when he overheard the parents talking about his marriage, that they were arranging for his marriage, he just left home and took sannyas. He left home and went away to take sannyas and travel from one place to. And back then, in that society, taking sannyas means it's as good as a social suicide. The family members would never ever see or hear about that person again. It's as good as he's dead. His name would be changed and he would travel from place to place. You wouldn't even know where he is. And he was the eldest son, right? So he left home when he saw that they were making arrangements for his marriage. Shuni Sachi Mishrera Dukhi Hoila Mana Tabe Prabhu Mata Pitara Koila Ashwasana. Priyanka Mataji, you're able to read?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare
Please
Krishna.
accept my humble obeisances to Srila Prabhupada.
Please accept my humble obeisances, Mataji. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
When Sachi Mata and Jagannath Mishra heard of the departure of their elder son, Vishwarupa, they were very unhappy, but Lord Chaitanya tried to console them.
Yes. So in Chaitanya Bhagavat, Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur says, it was so sad, literally, like even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, he would just fall on the ground and they would weep, and his mother, and they would just keep calling out Vishwaroop, 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 and they would just be crying. Vrindavan Das Thakur said that this episode makes him so sad, therefore he's not going to talk about it much. He just says briefly and he moves on to the next, because it is so heartbreaking. So seeing although he himself was affected, he was very attached to his brother, Nimai, but still, when he saw the sufferings of his parents, he assured them that don't worry, I will be with you. I won't leave home. I will stay with you, like that. That's what is being said in this verse. When Sachimata and Jagannath Mishra heard of the departure of their elder son Vishwarup, they were very unhappy, but Lord Chaitanya tried to console them. So I think everyone has read. We can stop here today. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you very much for joining. We'll continue
Thank you,
tomorrow.
ma'am.